The whole point of having it here was there is space.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Let's make sure that there are enough chairs.
Hang on. Oh, can I read you?
Just give me 5 minutes so that
Don't go baba wena. Andatovhara kuti ibe baba. Ai, ibe. Rongo. Achi iwe. Andatopinda.
I'm safe. I think that's at least 2-3 meters.
It is actually as we are safe.
As a lady, we must give it time to set up. It's only fair. It's only fair. When you're ready, madam. Another lady we have to wait for again.
No, we can start.
No, there's another lady.
Same crew. They are the same crew.
Oh, the same crew. Okay. We're ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this press conference, which seeks to clarify a number of issues. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a thing heavy heart that I mentioned that journalism, to be respected, must be balanced. You are trained people in a profession which is respected, and in many areas we refer to you as the fourth estate. And the moment that you're referred to as the fourth estate, you have an obligation to report factually with two sides of the story's head. When you read the article that was written by Machawira, Farai, and Elias Ambo being part of it, it touched on people who are innocent, who were mentioned. Eleanor Casboni, 24-year-old young girl with a degree in chemistry, from the University of Zimbabwe. Girl child, public speaker of note. Her background is that of a girl that is on a trajectory to do well. You mention her to have had an affair with me in the article, but you don't ask her whether she had the affair with me or not. You go again to mention Gudu Zinyama, who is my brother-in-law, married to my sister, for being my bisexual partner. You don't ask him. You then go on to mention myself as the main actor, and you still do not ask me. What was the motive? What was the agenda? A one-sided story amongst the media fraternity you think you've scored. You are more fascinated about the number of hits and likes and not people's reputation. I have built my career out of honesty. They've built their careers out of honesty. Today, when you Google Temba Mliswa, the first thing that comes out is gay. I have children. My first daughter is 30 years old. She's a lawyer. They read about this. I have relationships with people. And they start to read about it. The new order is with Google. Google Temba Mliswa right now. You've gone beyond humanity. You've decided to destroy people. Google Eleanor Kasboni today. She wants to work, she wants to have a job. She comes from a family of a single mother. The brother suffers from mental illness. She's the breadwinner. She's looking for brighter opportunities. And today's world is, you look for a job, reference is Google. And when you Google her, she had an affair with Temba. It's a record for life. It's a record for life. It concerns me. I'm a legislator representing national interests, equally representing you. How then do I discharge my duties when you've decided to character assassinate me for the love of money? Where are the ethos? Where are the ethics of journalism? The online media publications that you have are sponsored by various people. I've never owned one. I've never wanted to sponsor any. Not that I don't have the capacity, but I've never seen it my business to do that. Is it out of the unemployment that has risen, that print media is no longer strong, and now you're building these social media platforms for an agenda to destroy others? Lest we forget, I'm not stupid. For anybody to think that I was naive to have had a relationship with Susan, today you realize that I was not naive. I'm not a trained CIO operator, but everybody amongst themselves has a sixth sense and they have the ability to also run their own security. Today I will prove to you why I was engaged with her. I wanted to understand who my enemies were. And the time to understand who your enemies are, you get to one who's close to the system, especially one who's close to the Minister of State Security, Owen Muda Nui. I'll repeat, you get close to one who is close to the system, and there can never be any better person than one who is close to the Minister of State Security, Owen Muda Nui. The system has destroyed the opposition. There is no more credibility for the opposition to represent people in parliament because they've been divided in sixes and sevens. The only person left to stand up is myself. So the next task becomes a project to go and discredit Honorable Temba Mliswa. Ladies and gentlemen, today you will see facts and not hearsay. Evidence which I built over some time. Some of the information which came out first was as a result of what was going to come. And whether you like it or not, it was going to come. So it was to preempt. It was to discredit me. But what I have today, which I'll show you from My tweet, if you remember, was, this is a project and it has its handlers. But the handlers have not at all thrown a punch which has floored me. You've got to understand one of the fundamental rules of boxing. If you challenge the champion, the only way that you can win that belt is if you knock them down. But if you have not knocked them down, the referees are likely to give the championship on points to the person who's holding the belt. I was knocked down. Will I be silenced? No, I'll never be silenced. My prayer statement begins. Good morning to all here present and those watching or listening online. Thank you for your time in joining me this morning. My fellow Zimbabweans and compatriots, I've been following the recent disquiet on social media where my name has been maliciously tarred with and smeared by a host of litigious allegations. An overwhelming sense of responsibility and duty as a leader compels me to respond in order to dispel the negative connotations wantonly made against innocent youth, women, and men in the sphere of my life. I don't just leave myself. I'm thick-skinned. I've gone through it. And I had to take a decision to say, is this really, if it's about me, that's not an issue. But when it involves other people, I have a responsibility to protect people. As a father, son, brother, and foremost, as an elected member of parliament, the onus is on me to protect the integrity of these people and to responsibly account to those whose interests I have tirelessly worked hard to promote and develop. I do not purport to be perfect. That would be foolhardy. And certainly in my over 20 years of living in the public eye and selflessly dedicating my all towards the cause for national development, I have inevitably stepped on many people's toes. You've got to understand that I am the people's voice. I am the person that everybody comes to on any problem that they face. I'll go to Joshua Nkomo Housing Cooperative and expose Billy Rottenberg, expose July Moy, expose Chidao. It's not easy. And I do that fearlessly because I have a mandate to represent people. I am the one again who exposed the corruption. Yanama Infumira. I have to do that because I have a mandate to carry as an individual. It's not easy. I have made regrettable mistakes. I have also learned some valuable lessons and continue to learn. In all this, I operate and conduct myself based on principle being my guiding ethic in everything that I do. In this regard, I hereby and unreservedly aver the following. Number one, I have the deepest respect for women. I grew up with women and girls around me, such that some of the most successful endeavors I've ever embarked upon have been directly influenced by women. For this, I'm grateful. Abraham Lincoln says, "For what I am and hope to be, I owe to my mother." For what I am and hope to be, I owe to my mother. I have further been blessed with a bevy of wonderful girls who I deeply adore. Of the 18 kids I have, 13 are girls, 5 are boys. It is therefore unfortunate of me to ever imagine or even consider young and vulnerable girls in any romantic or sexual manner possible. I've said this many times, that principally I do not date women who are the age of my daughter. I have never. I'm not attracted to them. I see them like my daughters. It's like having sex with my daughter. I don't principally. I've always dated women who are much older. My daughter is 30. I prefer dating somebody who's comfortably 40 and above. That's always been me. I've never, because I value and respect my daughter. If I am dating girls at the age of my daughter, what am I saying? What example am I leading? Though it's not a crime, but these are the principles that I've lived with in life. The mothers of my children are not at all the age of my daughter. It's something that I speak with a heavy heart, that I've lived by that principle. And I've shared this with you many times on many press conferences we've had. And for you to then write a story of a 24-year-old girl who's as good as my daughter, and to think that I can have an affair with her, it's cruel. It's evil. It is repulsive. It is a repulsive accusation that I cannot begin to imagine, and yet the mental trauma it has caused the young lady innocently, dragged into the web of lies. A young lady with a bright future who I respect and actively support, along many others who have been brought into my purview. I run a scholarship of 600 children. Out of that, 400 are girls. So what do the parents think? That I'm running a scholarship so that I can have an affair with them? Look at where it puts everything. I run an organization called YAD, Youth Advocacy for Reform and Democracy, of young people. Junior counselors look up to me. I run public lectures for them. I've decided to mentor them because I've realized the politics of this country, known as the time to mentor young leaders. So when the parents now hear this and they're sending them to me, what is that? What does that make of me? I mean, honestly, as a journalist, how can you be so cruel? How can you put pen to paper? Is pen to paper now the basis of destroying one's life? Is pen to paper so powerful that you wake up and you write what you want to destroy one's life? Has that become the drawing line of who we are today? Where you believe if you have hate with somebody, you are paid to write about somebody. You write a scathing article. So how do we reverse all this now? And with our laws which do not protect us when we sue you think you get away with it. Because they will also give you lawyers. They'll sponsor you to defend you. May your conscience be your master. May your conscience be your master. Where is your conscience in these young people that you're destroying today? How do they repair their lives? And then you go in the pubs amongst yourselves in the media fraternity and you call yourself a great journalist with hits made out of lies. People have followed me and so forth. How do we reconcile it today? Where you abuse a woman who is emotional and you get information from her. You know you're dealing with somebody who's emotional. If there's a relationship where two people break up, one is bound to react differently. Why ride on somebody's emotions? Shame on you. Shame on you, Elias and Farai. Shame on you. A young lady who could be scared for life following as a result of emotional trauma caused by defamatory accusation. I therefore condemn and refute the allegation that I was ever or is in any relationship with the Yard Commander and for Administration Ethno Kasbenu with the contempt it deserves and put it to the strictest proof thereof. I am challenging that if you are true journalists, may you prove that. How do you suddenly say somebody is an affair? Where is the credibility of the media today? Where is your credibility? You see me walking with somebody, having an affair with them. True, I understand the irrationality of the accusations against my person as a cry for attention from a smitten former partner. However, the damning sensational homosexual allegations on a heterosexual person is intensely conservative society that can only harm the innocent, irreparably destroy the reputation of a decent soul. My comradeship with Goodwill Nyama is purely brotherly. In fact, Mukwasha wangu, as is married to Mliswa, and I therefore challenge anyone with evidence to the contrary to bring it forward. Journalists, because today I've said to you I've done this, you write this story. Where are the facts? Where are the facts? How many of us don't know of a couple married who, if the wife is not happy, can even go to the company and say, but I could be Raimar, Yangas Gabema. But don't we live in a society where we hear these stories? And why have they suddenly become headlines? Why have they become headlines? We've grown up in homes. We've grown up amongst people. What is new? I'm a public figure and therefore accept the flake of my poor judgment in romantic choices. But to sow the character of my friends and my family on account of a scorn cannot be allowed to prevail with impunity. If there's ever a time that I'm going to move a motion in Parliament against journalists to be given 5 years, it's this time around. Because you cannot at all rule by the stroke of the pen and lie. We stand for you when you are arrested for lying. We say it's unfair. We stand for you, we defend you, because we believe you are key. But now, as a legislator, I am forced to protect the innocent person, not me, by those who abuse the stroke of the pen. There must be a law that has got to come in. And you know that the ruling party has always wanted to really curtail you. I'll move the motion. They have 2/3 and the bill will pass. You cannot at all get away with it. This must be a new era of journalism where laws will be enacted to protect the innocent people from journalists who are unethical. There must be a price that journalists pay for being unethical. And the law must be there. If a man who steals cattle is given 9 years, there must also be a law that if a journalist is not factual, it must be 5 years. Just as much as there's been a law that says whoever rapes, there must go life in prison. This is as good as you putting somebody in prison for life. Unknowingly, recklessly, for the love of money, for the love of the brown envelope, which has become now the norm in journalism today. May God prevail on the poverty of journalists, because this cannot continue. A spiritual intervention is required by God to take you out of this web so that you are able to write correctly and your ethics and Ubuntu is not lost as a result of this. We still have got to protect that. Zinyama is a wife, children and family to protect, and it is immoral for him to become a target of unfounded malice. Again, I reiterate that I refute the accusation and put it to the highly defamatory allegation of either Zinyama or myself being homosexual to the strictest proof thereof. For your own information, I'm actually homophobic, but I have nothing to say about those who are inclined that way. If they are, certainly it's their choice. It's not for me to judge anybody. You knowing me for many years, if I'm involved in anything, I'll tell you. Why would I be ashamed of something of who I am? Some of this thing is biological. 3, as a public national representative, one of my responsibilities is to monitor policy implementation and to influence policy making processes. I have over time become deeply saddened and distraught by the proliferation of biased and unbalanced reporting by some Zimbabwean journalists. We have lost track of the true identity of a journalist, as many have turned into activists, while others rapidly pounce on any story and run it unverified for the love of money and fame. The unprofessionalism demonstrated by Elias Mambo-led Zim Morning Post is a sad demonstration that our authentic and robust journalism, whose standards were set by our famed senior journalists, has gone to the dogs. It has gone to the dogs. It's no longer credible. You have made and you've allowed this profession to go to the dogs. It was once a profession. The days of Tommy Stolle, editor of the Herald, the days of Chikerema, editor of the Sunday Mail, the days of Nyarota at the Daily News, the days of Kindness Paradza at Fingas are no longer what we see today. What has happened? Don't you have role models in journalism? It is a simple tent of journalism efforts to produce a balanced report where all key players in the story have their perspective represented before a story is published. I have a message here from him. And then after it's published, the story wants to talk to me. When the damage has been made. And the damage is not about me. I'm seasoned. When I'm in politics, there's one thing I know. Politics is dirty, but I know it's the people in politics who are dirty. But these are not politicians. Why then bring them in? Why bring innocent people in? That's why I'm challenging. That's why I'm angry. It's not about myself. I've been arrested over so many charges. I've been cleared. I'm thick-skinned. And you are probably used to the fact that if you write anything about Mliswa, I will not respond agile. But you write a headline, wachengeta basa. But haunga chengeta basa kane kunyeba. Haunga chengeta basa ne kunyeba. Otoenda kumba, otoshamsira mabao kuti onaenda kanyora story. Saka chichi no shamsira ne bepare Zim Morning Post, which is funded by CIO, and I'll prove to you that. How many of you are funded by CIO here? And this is where the country is going. And you are paid by them. We know who's behind Zim Morning Post. I know who's behind it. When we appear in court, we will know who's behind them. We have the evidence. For now, we will not produce the evidence. Who funds them? Who sponsors them? These are funded projects. I therefore call on all media players to revert to the foundations of journalism that have prompted reasonable and balanced reporting at all times. Journalists like Elias Mambo and Faramachi seem to be more of a national hazard and a threat to national security. When you as journalists start writing lies, it's a national security issue. This is a national security issue. When you lie about other people. I'm a national member of parliament representing all you. And then you then allow yourself to be pushed to this limit. Journalists of this mode are ruled by the love of money and fame at the expense of everything, including media ethos. I've since taken legal recourse in an attempt to remedy this indiscretion. I've lodged a formal complaint to the Voluntary Media Council of Zimbabwe. Here it is. I wrote to the executive director on this. Because we cannot have this going on. And it must be a lesson. And it's not for me, it's for the next person. Because if you are clearly doing it to me, what about the innocent person? My relationships and associations with all political parties, including the First Family, are guided by my principal political standing. As an independent elected representative, I have the prerogatives and freedom to associate across all floors. I do this in the interest of national development above all. Allegations of plotting, attempted murder, and against political players can only be described as malicious, scornful, and unfair. I mean, to show you that it's a project, you talk about July Moy who loses a parliamentary election and is on the job or the mess of the president. I mean, why would you really think that I would really want to even talk about July when I win elections where I beat his party and he fails to win elections? I mean, July Moyo, who's well known for being ambitious, July Moyo, who the president himself knows that convened a meeting of the Warozi chiefs, Wanamoyo, so that he could be in power. It's well known. July Moyo convened a meeting. Nana Warozi nekuti ndimoyo. Vachiti isusu ndisu tinotonga nyika. Chief Charumbira was not there, and the president knows about it. July Moyo, who has failed dismally to run the local government to a point people regret why Chombo went. July Moyo, who we all know he behaved like a de facto prime minister. I've challenged him on tweet to say that you don't have the political capital to support the president. And I say so because I'm one person who supports the president, who has always stood by the president. They could not stand with the president when Mugabe was in power. They were quiet. Where did you ever see July Moyo uttering a word in the Central Committee supporting ED? Where did you see Owen Muda Kumalo other than Kenda Kufamu kwa Chita Makua? A well-known issue even in the Politburo meetings of ZANU-PF, where they now want to bring me in the factional politics of ZANU-PF. It is well documented that they had a Politburo meeting where security was there trying to implicate Chiwenga in the factions of ZANU-PF, forgetting that Chiwenga is a key player in the president being in power. How can he suddenly turn against the president? Makuanaita kufamu Kwekwe Midlands has destroyed the thing president. All the people around him in the DCC elections, they lost. So where is their political capital at the end of the day? What are they doing on the president? July is the Chombo of Mugabe. And ultimately Mugabe was destroyed by Chombo. July is the Chombo of Mugabe. Mugabe was destroyed by Chombo. Mark my words. There is no politician who can sustain the lives of the Midlands the way July and Muda works, where there's no credibility. Mark my words. I told this to the former late President R.G. Mugabe that Chombo is not good for you when I was the chairman of March West. He looked at me, he said yes, but he didn't do anything about it. Leadership is about making decisive decisions that move this country forward with people with economic capital or political capital. If they don't have both, you don't need them. When scorn overrides maturity and decency, caution is thrown into the wind. However, such utterances cannot be made on the whim of a dangerous precedent may be set where those with cause to settle may mimic such unsavory behavior and make scandalous false statements in a bid to get their own back. In this regard, I've written to the Director General of Central Intelligence Organization. I am challenging the Central Intelligence Organization to investigate all the allegations. If they don't investigate, they are part of this project. You cannot have a situation where a president's name is just brought up, where somebody says Temba Mliswa is using the president's name to extort. Who have I extorted? At what point? Does that not call for the president's office to then interview the person? Where you have allegations that have been going around the country, okay? Ndichikanda Bute wanting to be the president. May it be known that if the good Lord wants the president, Mnangagwa, to be president like he is, it's him. If the good Lord wants Chamisa to be president, he will be president. If the good Lord wants Chiwenga to be president, he will be president. If the good Lord wants Monzora to be president, he will be president. If the good Lord wants Temba Mliswa to be president, he will be president. And when the good Lord decides, he puts a hedge around you to be protected. Hebrews 13 verse 6, trust in me and not in men. The president that we have right now was very quiet when he was being attacked. But today he is the president. When the good Lord has his plans, which are good plans for all of us, it will manifest. Whether you've got the strongest army, you've got the strongest CIO, we had resigned that the former late President R.G. Mugabe would die in power. All of us here. All of us here. Whoever puts their hand up and says it's not true, then you are lying again. It's a trait of journalists who's lying. We all had resigned to that. But was he not out of power? When the good Lord decides to do what he will do, he will do. So let's not now try and say that there are people who are so powerful to a point that they will dictate who will be president and so forth. I'm happy to be a member of parliament. I'm happy to be a bank bencher. I'm effective. I do my work effectively. I have no ambition whatsoever. But knowing me, if I have the ambition, why not? I would tell you and say this what, and it's not a crime. If I challenge the president to be president, it's not a crime, by the way. So don't make something which is democratic a crime. I speak my mind, I speak what I want. But in essence, I support the president while he's in power. I'm attacked for supporting the president every day. Because I've taken oath to support the thing president. I've taken oath to support his term in office. So when you now think that you want to assassinate the son of the president, where does it come in? Now we see that third hand, where it's coming in now. What apparatus do I have? Which party do I belong to be able to do all this? And CIO is quiet about that. I shall show you evidence of people in the president's office being mentioned by Susan. And then when I said it was a project, you believe me today. You accuse me of witchcraft. Is that not an offense? When I made the mention of Mrs. Mtami being a project, I did not mean it as a slave, but I was making a statement of fact. I have in my possession evidence indicating that Mrs. Mtami had submitted all my messages and voice notes to the Minister of State Security. And when I was with her, if you follow my chats with her, I never used to talk much. I wanted to know my enemies. I too have people who tell me. And at times for you to get something, you must do something. For you to get something, you must do something. And I did the necessary to get the information that I needed. Annexure B, here. Susan Mtami. I forwarded all the messages to SB Moyo and Muda Kutewandu Onereo. And then I tell her, you name drop too much, please. I've just sent a voice note. Lese Namuda. I'll show you a WhatsApp number. I'll show you the communication. For you to get something, you must do something. It's also part of a strategy. I now know who my enemies are. You have access to this. Not only that, we have access again here. Owen Muda, last seen on thing. Here is the date, Susan Mtami. Owen asking, what is happening to police Kunoton? For you to get something, you must do something. This is what I wanted to get. I wanted to know who my enemies were. I wanted to know who was plotting my downfall. It's the Minister of State Security, Owen Muda, here. The difference with her mentioning SB, and I told you name drop too much and stop it, please. There is no telephonic conversation with SB. May his soul rest in peace, so may he not be spoken about. But with Muda, there is a telephonic conversation. When I say I have evidence, I have evidence. When I said it was a project, I knew what it was. When we now talk about the so-called twins, this is Susan Mtami, who said the twins are yours. If you talk about an intelligent person, you know it's me today. For you to get something, you must do something. Here. Who said the twins are yours? Here. I went to the mall and Muda gave me an order as soon as possible, and it's not that simple. He comes first. This is the Minister of State Security. When I said it was a project, I knew what it was. I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. To get something, you must do something. So they are unappreciative. I did them before I bought Owen stuff. Here. In light of this is information that was used against me and crafted in a manner to discredit me in a deliberate and targeted smear campaign. So when she went out first, she knew what was coming. Can she show you pictures where I'm nude with her? Or I'm nude? The pictures that you see are pictures which are, that's my office. When you meet, you come. Before she went to the embassy, she came to Norton. I need to know who you are. For her to come to Norton, it was. But I asked her a question. I am not a ZANU-PF MP. Why did you come to Norton? She says, Muda said I must go to Norton. That's when I picked it up. Don't you think that donation would have been good for a ZANU-PF MP and an independent? Are ZANU-PF MPs not in need of that equipment? So it was a discussion that had picked that. It was a consensus to say, okay, let's take it to Norton. She was ahead of the game. I could see where she was getting at the end of the day. She then said, oh, your mother gave birth to a great man who worked so hard. Can I go and give her flowers? That picture, and I must say this, gentlemen, let's respect our mothers. That picture of her giving a huku, kutanga nima flowers. Mayonga nichingeta machongwe and so forth. And then Makuti, so I want to just clear that. My mother is a decent woman. She's a loving person, just like any other mother. Ukashika wenu kupa. So I want to clarify that. It was the flowers she insisted with communication. Temba. We had already discussed all that. We have also our own intel. Don't think that we don't have our intel. But I was not there. She was then given a chicken. In light of this, I have compiled evidence to back up my assertions and herein contained, ready to be produced before a court of law issuing names and messages, audios, etc. Names of those who aided in the payment of duties to bring in the containers from Australia were duped of thing. Those containers, it's donations, but people are paid. You pay. I paid 10,000 US. Yet it's donated stuff. I've written to the Australian embassy, and I'll show you that. Because they call a citizen Zimbabwean who's doing well. Interview all the MPs that have received donations. This plot speaks to a deep factional fight still very much alive in the Midlands. I'm still clearly viewed as a threat, lest we forget. I've gone to the Midlands to my village to build. And they're trying to do anything. It is common knowledge that Comrade Moyo held a meeting with the chiefs, trying to implicate the Honorable Vice President Chiwenga. Can I be honest with you today? And let it be on record, even on my tweet. I am a fan of General Chiwenga's way of doing things from a militant point of view. Because I've always believed that this country needs people who are militant, who are straightforward. When you deal with him in the office, what he tells you happens. He's a great pillar for the president. He's operational and he does it very well. If I was in ZANU-PF saying this, I would have been told I'm in his faction. But I can say it because he's a leader appointed by the president who's competent enough to do what he does. This country needs a militant approach. It does not need a priest. It needs somebody who's dogmatic, and I've said it on Twitter. But they have been trying to soil, and how they bring him in to this, and they're sending her to say that I wished him dead. At what point? At what point? How many times did I meet her? How many times did I talk to her? The reason why she went to Shurugi was she wanted to donate some medical stuff to the people of Shurugi. I had a village meeting with everybody there. By the way, anything that happens between two individuals, male and female, is private. It's not discussed in public. And the one who decides to talk about in public must continue with the discussion. I'm still searching for a good wife. And she must not know me as somebody who will spill the beans. So allow me to search quietly. The issue of sex by consent of two individuals is private. It's for those two. No one else. It's an intimate relationship for those two by consent. It does not get out anyway. Whoever chooses to talk about it, then it's their choice. But I don't discuss that with anybody. I don't. As one who is openly and actively supportive of His Excellency President E. D. Nangagwa, Mood and Moyo believed that they could come together to turn the President or the Presidium against me through his CIO operative. This CIO operative, I can tell you the Director General of CIO, who's professional, DG Ambassador Isaac Moyo, I can tell you does not know about this. Susan was given CIOs to move around with. She came to Norton, and Eleanor's mother's put a report to the police where she donated bricks and went and took the bricks. That's theft. When you donate somebody to somebody you've donated, she went with CIO operatives. Who is she to be given CIO operatives? That's taxpayers' money. What protection does she require? She's cleared by CIO at the airport. She's received by CIO. As who? I may have fallen for the operative, but been able to see through and expose the scheme. Anyone who knows and understands me will know that I'm a single father by choice. I'm not married. I respect any contract that is entered into marriage. It is a contract of sorts where one appends their signature to the document. The day I append my signature to the document and you see me with somebody else, that's a scandal. Because I would have said to her, I will not cheat. You've got people who are leading churches, the Word of Life. Dr. Shana, he has scandals in the church, yet they are married. The women go to the pastor and not to the Amai pastor when they have problems with the men. They've signed contracts. That evidence I'll give you too. That's why I mentioned it. These are issues that you must look at from a journalism point of view. But Honorable Mliswa, you are married, you have a marriage certificate married to X. You are cheating on your wife. How many are cheating on their wives? How many wives are cheating on their men? Irukubaya guy. Yeah. But so let's not, so it was not the issue. I've observed the deceitful behavior many conduct in their marriages and have decided that marriage is not for me for now. I'm not one who will want to lie to my wife and say I'm having a meeting, yet I'm with a girlfriend. I can't, being Temba. Others, that's fine, have got the talent to lie and the skill. I can't. I want to do what I want to do, and I want to live my life for myself, not for anybody else. That makes me happy. The children I have are all happy. I've never been taken to court for failing to look after them. Out of the 18 children I have, for own information, I'll disclose this, 4 are not mine. And I told their mothers, but I continue to just look after them. We always think that it's men who are dishonest. It's not like that. They're young children. I've even included them in my will. They'll get their education. They'll get what my kids will get. It will be up to the mother to say to them, I would break their hearts. I'm human. Whether one agrees or disagrees with my choice is a matter of another day. However, the fact that I am unmarried and for one to insinuate a formal introduction to my mother is to disrespect my beloved mother, my value systems and my plan of life. The facts of the matter are that flowers were bought as a token to my mother in acknowledgement to a woman with natured such a kind-hearted person. Naturally and unwittingly, I obliged. I am flabbergasted at how this has been misconstrued. 7. Whilst I'm an independent House of Assembly, my sister Honorable Mary Mliswa Chikoka is an active member of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, a trusted government minister, loyal, serving under the capable leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander of the Defense Forces, E.D. Mnanga. Honorable Mary Mliswa is a high achiever. Let me tell you one thing about our father. Our father was involved in Zipra. Our father was very close to Joshua Nkomo. He refused to be in politics after the thing struggled. If you want to know more about my father, go to SK Mo and to General Mtintimiri. They're the ones who tell you more about my father. My mother went to school with Honorable Tongo Gara in Zambia. That's where we were born. He refused. They'll tell you that Joshua liked him. When the communists tell me, Joshua liked your father, my father was Peter Mliswa, and he had charisma. He taught us well. When we were young, when we grew up, he wanted us to always read the newspaper. And Mary always read the newspaper, and my father nicknamed Mary British, as young as she was. That she spoke well, she read well, and she was eloquent. So the way she speaks is because our father spent time getting us to read newspaper articles when we were young. I failed the test because I would stutter, naturally. But Mary would not stutter and pass the test. So we have an upbringing which is sound. Of a father who was a social worker, a mother who is a nurse. We are 6 in my family. My father had 1 wife and 6 kids. Me having 18 kids is my choice. My brother is married with 2 kids. My other brother is married with 3 kids. I'm the firstborn. It's a choice I make. Hapana chiwanu. When 2 people agree kuti vaite vana, mwenda kumatest moite mwana ari healthy. Hazvinei nani. It is a new order. You agree. Damage ndinobhadhara. Hapana kwevana vangu 18 kwanisina kubhadhara damage. Vamwe vari kugara nevakadzi vasina kuroora kana mombe vasati vaendesa. Ndinorespekta culture yedu. And I do that. On the pregnancy claims, I cannot comment much. It's subject to a DNA, a paternity test. If they are my children, I'll look after them like any other child. I'll look after them. But I said, a DNA. I'm aware of many things, and I would not want at this point in time to talk about Susan. Susan is a mother of 1, a great young man called Tendai, who I think by all means, you must also think of him. We must be careful that we are dealing with somebody who in a way needs help mentally. And I will not take this time to pounce on her. I will not do that. I'm hoping that the help that she needs will be given to her. Mental illness comes in different forms, and it needs help. It is my appeal to her that she's a great young man who will grow up, and she's done well in looking after him. And may she continue doing that. And may the media stop abusing such women who are emotional. It's sad. Finally, I owe debt of gratitude to those who have stood by me through all this work, took time to know and understand me for who and what I am, and not for the scandals that were targeted at me. I sincerely apologize to all those who have had their names unceremoniously and have been dragged into this debacle. That to me is what made me meet you today. It's about a leader thinking of other people around you who you work with. I don't want people working with me to think when there's a scandal, I don't stand and defend them. I must emerge and defend the people I work around. I further apologize for causing any undue stress and confusion to the constituents of Noto. But funny enough, I told them to discuss this issue on the groups. They said, no, this is your private life. There's no taxpayers' money involved. The CDF, you account for it. You go beyond the call of duty. You do what you have to do, and so forth. I reassert my commitment to all in Norton, continue uplifting the community. I've never abdicated my role as a legislator, and I thank you for the support. Thank you too for all those on social media who have had the courage to look beyond the sensationalization and have sent and posted messages of encouragement, support. I appreciate. Daily I pray for a united and productive Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwe that accepts and meets everyone at their point of need. There's a lot at stake that requires maturity and tolerance, both men and women, to pull together for a betterment of a country. Above all, let the spirit of Ubuntu reign as we thank God for blessing, as we have such a beautiful country with the resources. Now let us make the right choices and come together for the unity and purpose of prosperity. Don King said this: I don't care what you write about me. Publicity is publicity, whether bad. But as long as you spell my name correct in your article, I don't care what you write about me. Publicity, whether bad or good, is publicity. But as long as you write, you spell my name correctly. I have realized that I have a following that I didn't realize I had. And it has made me realize that whatever I do, there are people who believe in me more than I ever thought. And as such, I will do the necessary not to let them down. I appreciate that. Social media today is critical, but it does not determine who will win the elections. But I'm on it, I understand it, and I was quite humbled by the debate which was there and so forth. And I'm hoping that with this conference, session, a lot of issues have been clarified, and I think the truth is now out. It was a project indeed. Yes.
Thank you. My worry, and before everyone else asks a question, because I'm afraid maybe they might let you go. Honorable, you called us to your home, and I'm assuming this is your house. I've never been here to insult us. You have challenges, you have problems with one publication which you have raised, and two individuals who you have named. That is Farai Machamire and Elias Mambo of the Zimbabwe Morning Post. But you have chosen to blanket every journalist with that particular unethical journalist blanket. Yet I, for one, I don't know how many others, are some of the people who came into your inbox to say, Honorable, I'm hearing one side of the story. May you please share your side of the story with us? You get what I'm saying? But you have chosen to ignore that and tell us that you will go on to raise a motion that will, in the long run or in the end, curtail our enjoyment of freedom of the media. The same freedom which has taken us here
Comrade,
to give you a
freedom
platform.
cannot be abused.
I am saying
No,
that,
but freedom cannot be abused.
Do you realize?
No. I want to correct you.
Okay,
I want to
yes,
correct
it
you.
cannot be abused.
Freedom cannot be abused.
I agree. It cannot
with
be.
you.
It cannot be abused. I agree now. I agree. It cannot be abused. But do you realize
I'm
that
just
you're...
taking some questions for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he can be listening. Do you agree that your fight with two individuals in an institution, at the end of the day,
I think the Osa commanding is here.
if you raise that kind of motion, do you understand the implications?
No, but what
on the
I am
media?
saying, if you're an ethical journalist,
Then
it must
why are you not dealing
affect
with
you.
those two?
No, but understand, you're an ethical journalist. It will not affect you.
Why are you not dealing with those two?
No, it's
instead
done.
of
The
dealing us?
conference is done. Thanks. They've invited me to the police, so I'll go and talk to them. I'll hear what they have to say.
Okay. Is it part of the threat to like the plot your mission? Is it part of the...
I think you now have the thing evidence before you, and I think it's important you report correctly and accurately. I've been through this before. It's not an issue.
Why do you think you're that much of a threat?
I say the truth. I'm outspoken. I'll remain outspoken. That's all. But you've got the thing facts now, so thanks for coming.
Yeah.